Have you ever had that moment when you wake up and you just feel anxious about your day? It could be a relationship, it could be a work situation, it could be a decision that you're making that you're just avoiding because you just need the courage to do it. The truth is that sometimes we avoid the things that we need to do because we're underneath it. There is probably a fear or something underneath it. For example, in my particular situation, I was a mother of 4, I had an internet business, and one day I just woke up and ended up in hospital. But there was a journey on which I had to go on that ended up there. I had red flags going off very early on. I was waking up every morning just feeling anxious about my day, and underneath it all was a fear, but I actually didn't know it was there. But it did start me on a journey of what I would call like self-discovery or becoming self-aware. I knew that there was something going on with me spiritually, physically, and mentally, and obviously the physical manifestation of my anxiety put me in hospital. And I remember my doctor saying to me very clear, "Dawn, there is a problem, and you need to get this sorted." And it was kind of like a bit of a wake-up call for me that there was, we are connected spiritually and emotionally and physical. We are connected in all those 3 areas, and if there's a problem, we've got to explore it all. So there's kind of 3 things that I had to do. Mine is a quite a severe case, but there was 3 things that I had to do, and one was I had to admit that I needed help. Being a mother of 4 and having all those children and having this business, it was like I had this mentality that I could just do everything, that I was supposed to do everything. And really, what was really going on was me. I was actually in fear of judgment, that people would judge me if I asked for help. So I was too proud to ask for help. I just kind of had to get on with it. But what that was actually doing was causing me a lot of problems, which ended up, me in hospital. So the first thing for me, I had to admit that I needed to get help. I had to be honest with myself and say, look, there's a real problem. There's an emotional issue going on with me. There was a physical issue going on with me. But it was my number 1 step to finding my fearless was, one, I had to admit that I needed help. The second thing that I had to do was discover the right help. I looked for someone who had expertise and experience in overcoming their fears and overcoming their issues, and knew how to guide others into finding their freedom. It's a bit like, if we went on a big mountain hike. If I went on a big mountain hike, I couldn't go and do it on my own, because I've never been on that track before. But I would want to go with someone who'd been there before, who understood the tracks and the trails, and knew the quick routes and knew the safe routes. And it was a bit like this. I needed to find myself somebody who would help guide me through this journey, who could understand me and who could relate. And so that was my number 2. And number 3 is I'd received all this information about, what was going on with me. I'd unpacked some emotional issues and discovered that fear had a real hold of my life. And obviously I found new techniques. I created new thought patterns, and I had to apply the changes pretty much. And so these new thought patterns were coming into my mind, new thinking, but there was a season where there was old patterns still trying to take over my life. It wasn't just one thing and it's all done and dusted. There was a journey, there was an outworking of all these new thought patterns in my mind, because I had, I'd learned through having a guide and having a coach, I'd learned new strategies on how to overcome those negative thought patterns attacking me, and then replacing them with the new thought patterns. So old thought patterns like, oh, you're not worth it, you're not worthy, you can't do it, it's your fault, you haven't got the gifts, you haven't got the talents. All of these negative thought patterns would attack my mind and my thinking, and would absolutely hold me captive with fear. And therefore I would get stuck, I would be sabotaging, I would be hiding, I'd be avoiding, I would go into flight or fight mode. And basically the underlying issue was I still had a lot of fear in my life, and learning these new strategies helped me get out of the negative thinking and into some positive thinking. basically, in a nutshell, I became a transformed life. Once I'd applied all this new information and developed new habits in my life, new thinking, my life was transformed. Everything around me, my relationship, my children, my career, my friends, everything started to transform. It started with me though. It started with me looking at my spiritual life, my emotional life, my mental life, and then obviously my physical life. But I am a transformed life, and I now want to help you transform your life. I want to be that guide in the mountain. You know, you're starting a journey. You want to go on this mountain trek. Let me help you. I want to help you discover your fearlessness. So if this is something that that's got your attention, you know you need help, you know you need some new strategies to overcome your fears, let me help you. Click on the link below and let me help you discover your fearlessness.